Hi you guys, Charlie with you here from Rove Motorhomes at Gunthorpe, and I'm going to be going around the Autotrail Scout to do your handover video for you guys today. I've got it all set up, plugged in, ready to go. I've had it warming up for the last 20 minutes or so, just so on the video I can show you things like the hot water coming through, gas and electric heating, hot water, all the rest of it. Even got the satellite dish up, tuned in the telly, that kind of thing. So, going around the motorhome, first and foremost, you need to know how to get underneath the bonnet, and that is always done just here. So open the passenger door, one pull on that lever there, access under the bonnet. To access your gas locker, same sort of release switch just there, lift that lever up, and that's going to open this gas locker door on the brake cable system so we can pull it up into position. And I will get onto the gas in just a second. So underneath the bonnet then, when we lift the bonnet up, the little catch should be on the left on a Fiat, yeah, just on that left hand side of the badge. We've got the oil fill up just there with the dipstick, we've got the coolant, we've got the steering fluid, washer fluid up at the top, and then we've also got the brake fluid there as well. This terminal just here is where you can clip onto, which is connected to the vehicle battery. So if you ever need to jump start the engine, you can lift the bonnet, clip onto that. There's a little earth lug down there for the black, and that's how you can jump start it without taking the floor up in the vehicle to access that vehicle battery. Putting the bonnet down, just let it clip so it's nice and flush, and then you are ready to drive again. Now behind the passenger door we've got the diesel fill up, and in there it's just a case of the driver ignition key straight in, turning it left. I think with this one, I'll just check if we have to hold the base. Yep, just have to hold the base still on this one, which obviously quite hard to do with the one hand as you can imagine, but hold the base still, turn the key left, and then spin it left like a normal diesel fill up. Now, when it comes to the gas, 2 gas bottles, and to open the bottles, we twist these dials to the left, like so. You can see here we've got a changer, so the arrow is pointing this way, which means we're coming off this bottle just here. If I turned that white device round, it'd go onto that lead, which comes off this bottle. So we use that to choose which gas bottle we want. If it's got green in it like that, it's because it detects gas and you've got gas and it's flowing through. If that goes red, you've run out of gas in that bottle. The green little button there, that is your crash sense protector. So every time, this is just from my personal experience, I set up a lot of motorhomes, as you can imagine, day in, day out. Every single time I turn gas on in a motorhome, I push that green button, even if it's only moved 5 meters. The sensitive is there, so if it feels a large bump, it shuts the gas off as a safety feature. So to save any mishaps, just push the button in first time round, and you know you're always going to have the gas flowing through to the rest of the vehicle. Now, when filling it up, which is done here, push, spin, and release, and obviously clip onto there with your refilling. Once you're filling it up, you don't need to open your gas bottles up, because if you'll notice, the fill up comes in through the top, which bypasses this here. So we don't need to open the gas locker whatsoever to do anything with the bottles in order to fill up from the gas flow. Now that's in a little retainer. You can release that now, put that back down like so, and that's that. The gas is now turned on. Electric step is switched from the inside, awning light is switched from the inside. The cover for this is in the cupboard. This is the exhaust for your boiler and your heater. So whenever you're going to use your boiler or heater on gas, we need to remove this cover to allow the heater's exhaust fumes to come out the vehicle. Obviously, always remembering afterwards, put the cover back on before you travel anywhere home. This looks nice and new. What we got? Barbecue point. So that is then fed straight off of the gas locker, and essentially inside there is a little red fitting that clips into there. You turn it left to lock it in, and there's a little brass fitting on the button to put your gas hose onto for your barbecue. Now this one here is for filling up the fresh water tank. Quite literally, stick your hose pipe in there, and in a minute when we go inside, I'll show you how to keep your eye on the fresh water and the levels. So essentially, once you put the hose pipe in, you could stand there for 2 days and you'd never flood the inside of the motorhome. It has an overflow that goes underneath the vehicle, so just in case you forget and you leave the hose on, you're not going to flood your motorhome. But on the control panel, there is a section on there which has a water reader, so we can keep an eye on how much water is in that tank at any given time. Now, entering the garage space, in here you've got your external shower head, which as you can see, little fitting, clips straight on with a trigger hose, the awning wind out tool, and those 2 poles there, they're awning strengtheners. So all that is in the centre of the canopy, which is above my head just now. Somewhere around about here, there's a little circle indentation on the base and on the front plate. Those poles push into there because that's in the middle of the canopy. 1, it gives it additional strength because it's a long canopy. But 2, if it rains then, it creates a V. So the water will run off either side rather than just congregating in the canopy and bulging. Now at the back, you've got your reverse camera up at the top, all there ready to go. Just careful jet washing around that. Using your habitation key, you will get access to the spare wheel, and down at the bottom, you've got your tow bar covered up nicely with your electrics. Come round to the alternate side of the garage. We'll open this up just to make sure there's nothing that needs to be seen around here. But I do believe, yeah, all just storage in that back end, ready for you guys to get your bits in and get it filled up. Now, next to us is exactly where you're going to use that shower I've just showed you in the garage. Now, quite literally, you can see there it's got hot and cold, so obviously quite a better option. So what we can do is we put the shower hose in and we twist the head and we choose the temperature. Now, obviously, bearing in mind we need the boiler turned on if we want hot water inside, and then we can mix it in with a cold and have whatever temperature shower outside. Below there, you'll see two blue taps. That is how we drain the fresh water tank. So underneath this vehicle, you've got two tanks. You've got your fresh at the back and your waste is down at the front, which I'll show you in a second. Every time you're done using this motorhome, there's three tanks you need to drain off. Your fresh, your waste and your boiler. That is just to make sure we're not leaving any water on board for long periods of time, which one can evaporate and leave calcium deposits and salts in the tanks, which can block up pipes and taps. And secondly to that, we don't want it freezing overnight, because when water freezes, it will expand and it can crack your pipes and your tanks. In this locker here is your toilet cassette. To remove the cassette, you want to lift the orange lever and pull the whole device towards you to receive the handle on the other side. We then walk the cassette over to the designated area, spin the cap round on the end, take the actual cap cover off and simply tip the actual cassette out. This is also a measuring beaker, so you put your blues or greens in there, back into the cassette, screwing it back up, lifting it up, and you've now emptied it. Put your blues or greens back into it using the cap, pushing it back on those runners, and just keep an eye on that yellow lever. There you go. Once it's sat in that recess, we are safe to go again. Moving further down, obviously you've got some little grip pads in there for when you're on the grass. We've got the tap here for the wastewater, open and close like so. We've also got the hookup point, and the cable can be pushed into that channel then, so you can put this side skirt down and both your leisure batteries. Obviously the wastewater, we need to drain that off every time when done using the motorhome. The hookup is going to charge the leisure batteries, and it's also going to send power to your high voltage systems in the motorhome, such as your boiler, your heater, if you've got an electric hob ring, which I believe this one does, and obviously if you have any aircon, which again I believe this does, all powered by the mains along with the 3 pin plug sockets. Externally, guys, that is about it. So we need to fill the water up, turn the gas on, plug the vehicle in on the other side, and then obviously take the cover off for your heater when you want your heating on. Stepping into the motorhome, got all the lights on ready. Oh, it's nice and warm in here. Right, so into the motorhome. Obviously, we've got the porch entrance. We've got the electric step button just there. That one does the porch light above the door. And then you've got your control panel on your left. You've got a light switch on your right for the over units in the kitchen, and then you have your electric controls for your heating and your gas controls for your boiler. Now, so I'm going to start with the heating and hot water. If you want to use your heating on electric, we need to use this side that says 230V for 230 volts of electric. That's mains power. Now, what we can do is we can use this outside ring here to choose the power setting. So you've got 0.5 kilowatt, 1 kilowatt, or 2 kilowatt. Obviously, for sake of demonstration, always on 2. This middle dial is then the temperature. 9 is 30 degrees and 1 is 18 degrees. So all you need to do is tell it that there, so 2 kilowatts worth of power, and I want it on 30 degrees or all the way down to 18. Now you see the green lights on in there in the background, that just shows you that it's running. If you get a fault on there, you will get a red light on that left hand side, approximately where the number 3 currently is now. If you want to, say for instance, put your heating on gas and electric, you leave that on there, and regardless of whether or not you've got it on gas and electric, once you've turned it on, say for instance you was just having it on electric with no gas, you'd still need to come here to control the fan speed. Now at the moment I've got it blowing out all the vents located around the motorhome. We've got some in the lounge, some down there as well, and the way I've done that is because I've put it on A. And everyone has their own way of reminding themselves. I-class A is all around. O is off. M is manual, which is just straight out the front of the heater. And this here is just for venting when it's on cold. That is it. So when you've got your heating on electric, as we've set it to 2 kilowatt and spun it to number 9. I then came down here, put it on all around, and then I can choose my fan speed with this dial just here. Obviously, all the way up at 5 because it's freezing today. If I change this outer dial to M, it's now going to start coming out the front of the fire just here. And then obviously you've got off in the middle. So I'll keep it on all around, fan speed 5. And then here, just like a hob you get at home, push in, spin left, And what you'll get, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, I'll try and get it through. There, look, you see that? That's now saying it's all lit. So you can obviously remove your hand off the dial at the top. You don't need to keep it pressed in. And then that's saying that's now lit on gas. And then what I can do, just like a hob, I can twist it all the way around to 5, so the hottest, or down to 1. So as it stands at the minute, I've clicked that in and twisted it. So I've got the heating on gas mark 5. I've got it on fan speed 5, blowing it all around the motorhome rather than using M to blow it out the front. And I've also got it on electric at the same time, simultaneously, 2 kilowatts of electric calling for 30 degrees warm air. And that is the heating. Your hot water is much, much easier. So this is the gas controls for your boiler. You can see off in the middle. If I flick up, 50, down 70. So down to 70, and then that'll now start ticking over. Now the reason I've got this up at the back is for 2 things. Is because here is where you want to do it on electric. You see how I've got that flick down to the bottom already? Look, middle, up to the top, middle, down. That's your electric. And if you look on it, it doesn't say 50 or 70, but it's the exact same switch, and it means the exact same thing. So the small wavy lines are 50 degrees, and the large wavy lines are 70. And obviously the thing is with the water, I've had this on and running, you'd usually get an amber light on here to show you the water's warming up, and when the amber goes off, it's up to temperature. So if I run this tap now, I ain't got loads of water in, so I'm hoping it comes through quickly, so I can try and show you any steam coming off of here. There we go. That's coming through, almost there, yep, too hot to hold now. So I'll see if you can see any steam coming off, just to show you the heat there. You see that just behind the tap? All that steam. That's 70 degrees hot water going straight into the basin unit just there. Around to the cold side, and now the steam will, there's plenty of steam now, as you can see. Now the steam stopped on the cold side. So we can see the boiler on the gas and electric has been absolutely spot on. The heating's nice and warm as well. So obviously, if you wanted to turn your boiler off, you need to switch that to the middle if it's been on gas. If it's been on electric, you need to come down here and also switch that one into the middle as well. Now just here is your boiler drain valve. Here's your boiler, big 10-litre Truma boiler, combi, I think it's either a 4E or a 6E. And to drain the boiler, if you just watch, just like that, flick it back down, there's your water pump, refilling the water I've just drained out the boiler. So that's good that that's happened, because essentially that's just going to be a healthy reminder for you that every time you want to drain the water out of the boiler and out the fresh and waste tanks, we need to make sure the water pump is turned off. And to turn the water pump on and off then brings me to this here. This is your control panel. Turn everything on with this button, water pump off and on with that button. This here is the awning light outside, and this here is battery swap. Now the battery swap's very important. So essentially with an Autotrail, you can park this vehicle up, you can plug it in, and you can charge whichever battery you wish off of that hookup cable. Now when the light's not on, it's because you're running on the leisure battery, as we should be, and charging the leisure battery. But if I was to click that button and turn it on, there you go, you see. Now it says vehicle battery good, 13.4 volts, because we're now charging the vehicle battery. Then if I tick that off, leisure battery, straight onto leisure battery, as you can see. So essentially, that's the top 4 buttons in a nutshell. On the right-hand side, I can click through, so you've got vehicle battery levels, leisure battery levels, fresh water levels, and wastewater. So this is when we're filling up with a hose pipe. We put the hose pipe in the hole outside, you come in, you turn the panel on, you go to fresh water, and you sit and watch that until it gets to 100%, then you go and turn your tap off. Wastewater, when that gets up to 100% or 90, that's when you go outside and use the grey tap down there near your leisure batteries to empty it off. We scroll through, then you've got battery current, so how much we're using, the solar coming in, which obviously isn't a lot today, into external temperature, which is a little bit out, as you can see. It's not that cold here, it is about 1 degree, 0 degrees, but when they drop off in the minuses, they really take a hit. And this, I'm just stopped over this because of tank heaters. So to action on any of this, click the arrow and you can see now on and off. So that's what this center arrow is for. And all that's going to do is those 2 big water tanks under the van that I showed you, they've got like an underfloor heating system wrapped in the plastics of them. So when you click that button, It doesn't warm the water up, but it stops the cold making the water cold, if you know what I mean. So them mats will get up to about 20 degrees, 18 degrees to that degree, which isn't enough to transfer then into the water and warm the water, but it is enough to stop it freezing overnight in cold conditions. If I go down, you've got your main light switch. We can set the clock, set an alarm, event timers, things like that. And then you've got your dimmer levels. Because you've got over unit LEDs that we've left nice and bright, you can adjust the dimmer level on them, 1 and 2, front and back. And then at the end, you've got this here, which is just information saying you've got the Autotrail EC300 panel version 161. And then you've got the time and the temperature. And then we're back to the beginning. Look, leisure battery, vehicle battery, freshwater, wastewater. So if I scroll up and leave it on that main screen just there, that is your control panel. There's your heating, hot water, and how to work those as well. Now, I'm just going to work my way down the kitchen. Obviously, we've done the hot water through in the basin unit. We'll get some things lit on the hob. So to do it, I'm just going to sit down, actually. Oh, what a perfect seat for this. I could cook from here. Turning that round, the light's going to come on. The electric hob is now going to heat up. Now, just like the microwave, those two will only ever work when we've got the hookup lead plugged in, because they're that powerful. They need the extra power. They can't work off the battery. Now, you'll notice hob, hob, hob. So all your hobs are here and your igniter's just there. So excuse me a second, just while I get them lit for you. And obviously, pressing them and holding the phone at the same time is never any light work. And that gets all 3 hobs lit. Turning them back, as you can see now, we'll turn them off individually. So that turns everything off. This one here is for the grill, so we can push in and do the grill lighting just like that. As you can see, Guy's brought something in for me. I'm not too sure what it is, but I'll have a look in a second. I'm sure it's for you. And then I'm just going to turn that off now because, yeah, getting nice and warm. And we don't want it to get too hot, otherwise I have to wait a good 20 minutes or so for it to cool before putting the hob glass down. Oven, in, twist, them two together. And as you can see, we can then turn that all the way up to 9 or have it at 0. And all the way up to the top is now off. Below here should be some gas taps, I believe. Oh no, we've got the plug-in for the oven and storage. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Cupboard storage in there. Not just a drawer. So I'm just going through your kitchen now just to make sure I'm not missing anything. That's a big cutlery drawer, is that? And then I'll tell you what I'm going to do, guys, if you don't mind. I'll put it on 0.5 zoom so I don't have to worry about where I'm looking so much. There we go. So all the storage around there as well. Here is where I've put, for the time being, the cover for the heater outside, and that's for the barbecue point, just like the one on the external shower. You see the brass bit is where your gas hose will go on to. The silver bit is what goes into the side of the motorhome, and you put it in and twist to lock it in. The microwave, as you can see, is also plugged in here. So I'm going to show you now. To turn it on, hold eco. This one does 30 seconds at a time. That's stop and cancel. Obviously, you've got all your pizza, spaghetti, tea, coffee settings, defrost, you name it, all there to use as well. Under the microwave, you've got your push plate storage just there, which is where people always hide like microwave glass dishes and things like that can go in there. Really nice little important space. Nothing in there. You've got your overcab. So these 2 lights are switched at the base and the base only. The LED surrounds there are switched under here, which is just that one. And then this one does the step light at the back that you can see just there. That's those 2 switches. Underneath here is nothing but storage. Underneath here is nothing but storage as well. In these cupboards, we have a couple of things that I'm going to go through with you now, and I might have to return it back to 1 zoom just to get the picture quality back. I just don't want it going too blurry while we're looking at these intricate bits. Right, so satellite and satellite, fuse board, aircon, and a fuse board remote. Entertainment system, so any speakers in the vehicle or the head unit, for instance. If I've got that switch turned on, that means that that radio, if I turn it on now, will be powered off the leisure batteries rather than draining the vehicle battery. The fuse board, these 4 here should look very familiar, and it's because they're exactly the same as the 4 on there. All it is that control panel over the door ever stops working, you can choose which battery you want to use, you can turn your lights on, turn your pump on, and turn the system on just here. These are just isolators, and this is a warning light. So, do you know, like in your kitchen, you've got your hob and it's got a switch next to it to isolate your hob and turn it off and on, and same with your oven. That's all these are. So you can see water heater, space heater, and the charger. And it's just to isolate the power to them in case anyone needs to work on them if you're living in the vehicle. These MCBs and the RCD should look very familiar to what you have at home. This is your RCD. This will trip if a faulty appliances are plugged in, and these are your MCBs, which will trip if you overload the circuit. On this side, 12-volt DC protection fuses. So this is everything, all the fuses that for all the circuits that are powered off the leisure battery. So if you're wild camping, these fuses are powering what you're using. If you're on a campsite with a hookup, these fuses are powering the main stuff that you're using. Now, just here is the satellite. Now, what all I did today is I clicked this button just here, which wakes it up. It put the dish up in the air. It said searching for Astra 2. I'll just let it retract quickly. Let that come down. And then we'll do it from scratch with you. Wasn't anticipating this bit actually. I probably should have retracted that before I did the video, so I didn't have to leave you waiting, guys. Sorry, just have a sip of your drink while we're getting through this bit. In fact, while we are, I'll talk about the solar. Oh, there we go, of course. Click the button, look, and it wakes it up. Astra 2, which is what you want. Even if you're down in the centre of France, Astra 2 is what you want. And now it's searching Astra 2. I don't know if you can even see that because of the screen. Hang on. There you go, searching Astra 2. So all it did when I turned it on is it said, on Astra 2, click the button again, and then it said searching Astra 2. And then once it finds Astra 2 and locks on, it will inform you that it's then found it. And once it's found it, then obviously from that point then you can just retune your television, get all your channels there and crack on. Now, as that's searching for Astra 2, I'm going to take the air conditioning remote. I'm going to click the on button. Where is it? Oh, it's above my head. I was looking in the back. It's here. So hold the on button. The screen's now come on. We will need to wait for it to wake up a second as it starts talking to the panel. If for any instance, there we go. As you can hear now, that's come on. So temperature up and down, just like in a hotel room. Fan speed, that's full fan. Just click it for 1, 2, and full fan again. You've got your mode button just there, so just at the top. So we can change it from that snowflake, which is cooling. We can have automatic, which is heating and cooling. Cycling the air, so it's just fanning it, not conditioning it at all, then back to cooling. Now the automatic, you could set it to 18 degrees, and in the morning, 18 degrees will be warming, but by the time it's midday in summer, 18 degrees will then be cooling. So the auto mode is more for your summer, and the snowflake mode is for your winter. Now, if your remote needs recalibrating, you click that signal button and hold it against that infrared signal just there, and that'll recalibrate your remote to the unit. If you want to turn the lights on, just click that light button there, and you can see the lights then come on. And then these here, you've got night mode to quieten it down, and then you've got timers. This is all about timers, for how long you want to leave it on for. Click the off button, it'll signal that to then turn off, and after a short period of time, once it's shut itself down properly, it will turn off. So I'm just trying to get the remote back in there. I'll do that afterwards, quite difficult one-handed. Again, it'll just need a second or two just to shut down. You can see now the remote's off, and it will shut down accordingly. Just on there now, it says Astra 2, look. So by the time I've done that, this has now tuned in. We don't need to do anything with the box. As you can see, it's got the green light. We know it's on, so we don't have to do anything with that box. Come on, I'll do it again, look. Turn off. Right, then we'll go to the back. There you go, and just for reference, now all off. Oh, and just so you know, that slider there, sliding it forward, sends the air out of this side. If I pull the slider back, all the air is now going to the front. If I leave it in the middle, it splits it. So half goes out the front and half out the back. Now, into the back, here we go. We've got the television. The television is plugged in to the 12-volt port just there. The satellite cable's plugged in as well and fed into the TV. So with the TV remote, if I wake up, multiple numbers of tune program overlapping need to be reorganized. Okay. Country, United Kingdom. First region, England. Second region, East Mids. Done. There we go, look. And now the channels are through. So once you've done your scan, sometimes if you've crossed the border, you may need to come in the back of here, and you may need to do this, where you click Settings. And the Settings tab comes up. Scroll down to All Settings, just there. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get a series of other options, to which we're going to then go to Channel Settings. So down there to General, across to Programs, across again, and now Program Tuning and Settings. Click that one. 2 seconds. Antenna mode. So you can put it down to your satellite cable. You can do both. Pick the one you want. Up to the top. There are no satellite programs. Do you want to start auto tuning? Yep. Antenna and satellite like that. Next. Digital and smart. Next. Preset. Yep. Next. And let it do its thing. And that'll then reorganize and find them again. I just want to show you obviously how to retune your telly, just so you know. Underneath here, nothing but storage. Underneath all this is that garage space you know and love already. Nothing but storage in the back of the motorhome, as you can see here. I don't want to come out now. It's warmer in here than it is in the office. And then obviously what we'll be draining that off before you leave, so I'll leave that open. In the back of here, you've got your wardrobe with your hanging rail and all the carpets are there. There is a removable tile in the bottom, so anyone can work on the heater if they need to. And then behind here, as you know already, is nothing but storage. I'll put the zoom out to 0.5 as now we're going to go over the fridge. So you can see there, green light, all well and good. If it's red, we've got a problem. Click to wake up. So at the minute we're on automatic, which goes to the hookup. So auto mode will always choose the hookup first, the gas second, the vehicle battery third. If I tap that, we're now just on hookup. If I tap again, we're on vehicle battery. Notice how it's now flashing red. The reason for that is because we don't have the engine running. So if the engine's not running, it's not sending any power to here, and henceforth. So if I click it again now onto the gas, it's now going to pull gas off the system and light it on the gas. To change the temperature, use this one just here, like so. And then to change it back to automatic, all we need to do is click this lock, like that, and you're back to auto mode. Or like you say, you can choose it individually by having it on that mode. This one here puts the heated seals on and off. So that's off and that's on. And all that is these seals just here, they warm up essentially just because these fridges get very, very cold when they're full and they're on full chat. So essentially the seals are there to stop it sticking to the base of the fridge. And then the freezer up at the top. Obviously, I can't show you how cold it is. I wish I could, but it's absolutely freezing in there. Behind this cupboard is your pop-up table, perfectly suited to go in the rear lounge. The bike rack's here because I believe you wanted it taken off, but we need to have it in the vehicle for you. But if I just udge it down ever so slightly, I'll be able to show you the fact that your lats come out of here just like so. And you see that clip at the end there? The clip needs to end up on this side of this beam of wood here. So this will lift, go over the top and fit in that gap there perfectly to lock all the lats in. That way the lats can't move around. And when we're driving, put that clip up to stop them moving whilst we're driving as well. As you can see now, antenna's already tuned in. Got 139 programs there, 12 antenna radios, and now it's onto the satellite, which is great. So I'll move the bike rack up because next I need to go into the washroom. So in here, you've got your cassette swivel toilet. So the same pump that flushes the toilet is the same pump that runs water through the tap. And as you can see in here, get some airlocks out. I'll probably put that there so it doesn't splash everywhere. Same again. I'll just run the hot water till we see some steam. I'll put it on one zoom so you can see. It's just getting hot now, but the same water pump that's pushing all this water through here. Now I'm going to turn that off, that's burnt my finger. The same water that's pushing that water through that pump is the same one that flushes this toilet. So as you can see now, lift it up. Oh, there we go. Going through, water, flush the toilet. This lever here, push it over to the right, pull back to the left to close. The toilet will swivel. That's the fan now, pulling air out of the cassette so it doesn't smell. So click that fan on. Oh, sorry. Like that, and that's the fan off. If it's flashing, it's on. And this is the gauge to tell you how full your toilet cassette is. Your shower head we leave on the floor whilst travelling. We're always recommended to take them out in case they fall out and damage and crack themselves in transit. And your doors for travelling, always keep them nice and closed, as that is the strongest position, which again, I'll do when I've got two hands available. But keep them closed is your strongest position for driving. Now this just here, just reminded me, did everything but this cupboard, is your TV aerial. So this is just a standard TV aerial. If you want normal channels, it's on with the red light on. And if you want the best picture, you unscrew that bit there and you push that post up so it lifts the aerial high up in the air. twist that then clockwise to clamp the post in position, and that's your aerial up in the air. It's all plugged in and it's all there to go to your television. So you can have aerial or satellite. The choice is yours. But guys, goes without saying, if you ever need any help, give us a call. It's been an absolute pleasure and we really hope you enjoy the motorhome. Cheers.